Listen to me. Too many of you want to achieve before you believe. You want to see results before you put in the work. You want proof before you have faith. But that's not how life works. You've got to believe it before you see it. You've got to walk like you already have it, grind like it's already yours, and dream like it's not impossible. I'm telling you, belief is the spark that lights the fire. When you wake up early, tired, nobody believes in you. That's when you have to believe in yourself the most. When your dreams seem too far, when the world says a no, when the doors are locked, your belief is the key that opens them. Every champion, every successful person you've ever heard of, they believed before anyone else did. They didn't wait for validation. They didn't wait for approval. They didn't wait for the perfect time. They made the time perfect. So before you chase the achievement, chase the mindset. Before you look for success, look for belief. Because success doesn't start in your bank account. It starts in your heart. You gotta understand something. Faith comes before results. Most people in life want to see proof before they commit. They want to see the end of the movie before they take the first step. But life doesn't work that way. You gotta walk in the dark sometimes, trusting that the light will show up as you move. Faith is not waiting for confirmation. It's believing even when everything around you tells you that it's impossible. It's standing in the storm and saying, I know the sun is coming. It's waking up every day, even when there's no applause, no support, no validation. It's saying, I'm still going to do it. Because belief doesn't start when you win. Belief is what gets you to the win. Everybody wants to achieve. Everybody wants success. But not everybody wants to go through that season where nobody believes in them. That's the part most people skip. The season of uncertainty, the quiet grind, the invisible struggle. But that's the season that builds faith. That's when your character is tested, when your mindset is shaped. See, it's easy to believe when things are going right, when the path is clear, when people are cheering you on. But real faith, real belief, shows up when there's nothing to hold on to except the vision in your mind. You gotta learn to see with your heart when your eyes don't see a way. Let me tell you something. Every dream you got will demand that kind of faith. You can't have $1 million dreams with $1 belief. You can't talk about success while doubting yourself at every step. You gotta believe like it's already yours. You gotta carry that confidence even when the evidence isn't there. When you plant a seed, you don't dig it up every day to see if it's growing. You water it, you protect it, and you wait. That's faith. You trust that the work you're putting in today will bring results tomorrow. But most people quit in that waiting period. They get tired because they don't see instant progress. They lose faith because the result didn't come overnight. But faith is not about what you see now. It's about knowing something great is happening underground, even when it's invisible. When I was sleeping in abandoned buildings, when I was hungry, when I didn't know what was next, I had to believe that this wasn't the end of my story. I had to believe that I was being shaped for something bigger. And that's what faith does. It gives you the power to keep walking when your circumstances. Some of you are standing at the edge of your dream, but you're scared to jump because you can't see the landing. You're afraid to start the business, to write the book, to go back to school because you want a guarantee. Listen to me. There are no guarantees in greatness. The only guarantee is the work you put in and the faith you keep alive. You've got to believe before the money comes. Before the opportunity comes, before the recognition comes. You've got to believe when your bank account is empty, when your phone is silent, when doors keep closing in your face. You've got to believe when everyone else walks away. Because when you stop believing, you stop building. Faith is the foundation. Without it, everything else falls apart. Every great athlete, every successful entrepreneur, every artist who changed the world, they all started with faith. They all started with a crazy idea that didn't make sense to anybody else, but they trusted it. They moved anyway. They failed, they stumbled, they cried, but they never lost faith in what they were building. And here's the truth. Faith is not passive. It's not sitting around waiting for things to happen. Faith is active. Faith is grinding when nobody's watching. Faith is waking up at 4 a.m. to practice when you don't feel like it. Faith is saying no to distractions because you know your time is coming. Faith is working like it's already yours. You see, people with faith don't wait for opportunities. They prepare for them. They don't hope for the door to open. They build their own door. They don't ask for sign. They become the sign. When you got real faith, you move with purpose. You move with purpose. You talk different. You walk different. Because deep down, you already know what's going to happen. You just haven't arrived yet. And I know what some of you are thinking, but it's hard to keep believing when nothing's happening. I get that. I've been there. But that's when you got to remind yourself why you started. That's when you got to go back to the vision. Go back to that dream that kept you up at night. That's when you got to tell yourself, I didn't come this far just to come this far. Faith will be tested, but that test is proof you're on the right path. If your dream doesn't scare you, if your journey doesn't challenge you, it's too small. Faith thrives in uncertainty. It grows stronger when you have no choice but to trust the process. Sometimes faith is just taking one more step. Sometimes it's just showing up again. You don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need to know the whole plan. You just need to take the next step in front of you. The road will reveal itself as you move. That's what separates those who win from those who quit. The winners keep believing even when it looks like they're losing. They trust that the pain has purpose. They understand that every delay is not denial. They know that sometimes the universe is rearranging things behind the scenes. And if they just keep going, it will all make sense later. When you walk by faith, you're dangerous because you can't be broken by what you see. You can't be stopped by temporary setbacks. You can't be shaken by opinions. You become unstoppable because your foundation isn't built on external things. It's built on belief. You don't need people to believe in you. You need to believe in you. Because if you don't, nobody else will. Faith is what keeps you moving when motivation fades. It's what keeps you disciplined when you don't feel inspired. Motivation might get you started, but faith keeps you going. Think about it. The airplane was faith before it was flight. The light bulb was faith before it was light. The cure, the innovation, the masterpiece, they were all faith before there were results. Somebody dared to believe that what didn't exist yet could become real. And that's what you have to do. Stop waiting for proof. Stop waiting for a perfect moment. The perfect moment is the one you decide to believe. Because once you believe, everything else aligns. Your energy, your habits, your work ethic, your focus. The world starts responding to your faith. You've got to look at your dream like it's already yours. Speak it, live it, feel it, and then go get it. Faith is not about sitting still and hoping. It's about working while you wait. You grind in the dark because you know the light is coming. You sow the seeds even when there's no rain because you trust that the harvest will come. You put in the effort even when you're tired. Even when you're tired because you know that one day your effort will speak for you. So stop saying I believe it when I see it. Start saying I see it because I believe it. That's how champions think. That's how visionaries move. That's how you turn dreams into reality. Faith is your fuel. Don't let it run out. Because when you believe before you achieve, when you trust before you see, when you act before you have, that's when miracles happen. That's when impossible becomes possible. That's when your story changes. So tonight, make a decision. Stop doubting yourself. Stop waiting for proof. Believe like it's already done. Walk like it's already yours. Because if you can have faith before results, the results will come. Not because of luck, not because of chance, but because your belief made the way, your faith created the path. And when that happens, when your belief meets your grind, there's nothing, absolutely nothing that can stop you. You gotta understand the power of your words. You can't expect to live a powerful life if you're always speaking weakness into it. You can't talk defeat and expect victory to show up. The words that come out of your mouth are not just sound, they're seeds. Every time you open your mouth, you are planting something. You are either planting faith or planting fear, planting progress or planting problems. You've got to start speaking life into your goals, even when they seem far away, even when you don't see any sign that they're coming true. Because the truth is, your life will always move in the direction of your most dominant words. If you keep saying, I can't, then you won't. If you keep saying it's too hard, then it will be. But if you start saying, I will, I am possible, then you begin to unlock something deep inside you that starts working toward that belief. Some of you don't even realize how much power you give away every single day by the way you talk. You say, I'm tired, I'll never make it. I'm not good enough. And then you wonder why you feel empty and unmotivated. You are creating the very environment you're living in with your own voice. You're feeding your doubts and starving your dreams. You've got to flip that. You've got to start feeding your faith and starving your fear. The problem isn't that you can't do it. The problem is you keep telling yourself that you can. Every time you say you're not enough, you reinforce that lie in your mind. You start to believe it, and once you believe it, you act according to it. That's why speaking life is so important. Because when you speak life, you shift your energy. You change the atmosphere. You start creating a mindset that matches your goals. Listen, I've been in the dark before. I've had seasons when nothing made sense. I was broke, I was lost, I was invisible. And if I had spoken what I saw, but it stayed there. But I learned something. You can't speak what you see if you want change. You gotta speak what you want to see, even if it sounds crazy. Even if it sounds crazy. Even if nobody believes you, you gotta declare it like it's already done. You got to say, I'm gonna make it when everything around you screams failure. You gotta say, I'm built for this when life tries to break you. You've got to say, my time is coming when all you see is delay. That's not lying, that's faith. That's you speaking things into existence before they exist. Do you understand how powerful that is? The world responds to your vibration. What you send out comes back. When you speak negativity, you attract negativity. When you speak power, you attract strength. When you speak purpose, you attract opportunity. That's why successful people talk differently. They don't waste words. They don't curse their dreams with doubt. They speak vision, they speak progress, they speak destiny. Even when they fail, they don't call it failure. They call it feedback. Because they know that how they talk determines how they think. How they think determines how they live. You've got to become intentional with your words. You can't just let anything come out of your mouth. When you wake up, the first thing you should say is something powerful. I'm ready for this day. I'm built for greatness. I can handle anything that comes my way. You've got to talk yourself into your destiny. Because the truth is, nobody else is going to do it for you. People might not see what you see. They might not believe in your dream. They might not understand your grind. That's why your words have to carry you when nobody else does. You got to be your own cheerleader. You got to speak life even when you're standing alone. And let me be clear, speaking life isn't pretending that problems don't exist. It's not about ignoring reality. It's about refusing to let reality dictate your future. You acknowledge the struggle, but you don't give it power. You can say, yeah, this is hard, but I'm built for hard. You can say, yeah, I failed, but I'm not finished. You can say, yeah, I'm tired, but I'm not giving up. That's what it means to speak life. It's not about denying pain. It's about declaring purpose in the middle of it. Some of you have dreams that are dying, not because you don't have the talent, not because you don't have the opportunity, but because you keep speaking against them. You keep saying, it'll never work. And the universe is just giving you back what you asked for. Your words are power. They're instructions to your future. You can't say, I'll never make it, and then expect success to show up. It's like giving mixed signals to life. You've got to be consistent with your language. You can't speak death and expect life to come out of it. You can't keep saying you're broke and expect abundance. You can't keep saying you're unlucky and expect blessings. You've got to align your tongue with your vision. When I was trying to get out of that old life, I used to tell myself every day, you're not meant to stay here. You're going to do something great. You're going to inspire people. You're going to change lives. I didn't see it, but I said anyway. I didn't have it, but I believed it anyway. And you know what? My words started shaping my world. The more I said it, the more I started to believe it. The more I believed it, the more I started to act like it. And when I acted like it, life responded. That's how it works. The transformation starts with what comes out of your mouth. You might not realize it, but your words are creating a habit of thought. If you always say, I can't, then your brain starts to look for reasons why you can't. It starts closing doors, blocking possibilities. But if you start saying, I can, I will, I must, then your mind starts finding ways to make it happen. You activate something called expectancy, and expectancy is a magnet for opportunity. You start to see things differently. What used to look impossible starts to look doable. What used to feel out of reach starts to feel like a challenge instead of a curse. That's the power of your words. You got to watch the language you use when you talk about yourself. Stop calling yourself lazy. Stop calling yourself unlucky. Stop saying you're average. You are none of those things. You are chosen. You're capable. You're powerful beyond measure. But you got to start saying, You've got to tell yourself every day, I'm not who I used to be. I'm becoming better. I'm getting stronger. I'm learning. I'm growing. I'm evolving. Because whatever you consistently confess, you will eventually become. Some of you are waiting for the world to change, but the world will only change when your words do. You want different results, but you're using the same vocabulary that built your old life. Change the language, and you change the reality. You've got to start replacing I hope with I will, replacing I might with I must. You've got to speak from a place of certainty, not doubt. The universe doesn't respond to hesitation. It responds to conviction. And when you speak with conviction, when you declare with faith, everything around you starts to align with that energy. And don't just speak life into your goals, speak life into others too. Because when you lift others, you lift yourself. Tell your friends they can make it. Encourage the people around you. Spread words that heal, not words that hurt. Because what you give out, you get back. You get back. You never know how far a single word of encouragement can go. Someone could be ready to quit, and your words could save their dream. That's power. That's purpose. It's easy to complain. It's easy to point out what's wrong. But it takes strength to speak life when things look dead. It takes courage to declare success when you're surrounded by struggle. But that's what separates dreamers from doers. That's what separates the average from the elite. The elite understand that their voice creates vibration, and their vibration creates reality. So they choose their words carefully. They speak vision, not victimhood. They speak victory, not defeat. They speak faith, not fear. You've got to get to that place where your words are so aligned with your purpose that even when people doubt you, you keep speaking anyway. Even when life gets loud, you keep speaking anyway. You keep saying, I'm going to win until you do. You do. You keep saying, I'm strong until you feel it. You keep saying, I'm built for greatness until your actions match your declarations. Because the truth is, words are energy, and energy doesn't die. Every positive word you release stays in motion until it finds its way back to you. So from now on, speak life, speak faith, speak purpose, speak victory, even when you're scared, even when it's hard, even when you don't see it. Because when you speak it long enough, when you speak it strong enough, your words start shaping your world. You start living the very thing you've been declaring. That's how transformation happens. From the mouth to the mind, from the mind to the action, from the action to the achievement. You have the power to rewrite your story, but it starts with your speech. The most dangerous conversation you ever have is the one you have with yourself. So make sure it's filled with power. Make sure it's filled with faith. Make sure it's filled with life. Because once you start speaking life into your goals, the universe will have no choice but to respond. And when it does, you'll look back and realize the words you spoke in faith became the world you live in today. Every dream you've ever had begins in your mind. Before it's built, before it's achieved, before it's touched, it's seen, not with your eye, but with your imagination. That's why you have to visualize victory daily. You got to see yourself winning long before the world ever does. Because the truth is, your life will follow the picture you paint in your mind. If you see failure, if you see defeat, if you see limitations, that's exactly where you'll end. But if you can see victory, if you can see progress, if you can see the version of yourself who already made it, then your actions, your energy, your entire being will start to move toward that vision. That's not magic. That's focus. That's mental clarity. That's belief in action. The reason most people never reach their potential is because they let the world define what's possible for them. They let other people's fears paint their vision. They stop imagining, they stop dreaming, they stop visualizing something greater. And once your vision dies, your motivation dies with it. You got to protect your mental image of success like it's your life, because it is. You got to wake up every morning and replay that movie of success in your head. What does your life look like when you've made it? How does it feel to walk in that version of yourself? What does your morning routine look like? What kind of person are you becoming? What kind of person are you becoming? What kind of energy do you carry? You have to feel it, smell it, see it, taste it as if it's already real. Because once your mind accepts it as true, your body will start to move toward it like a compass to its destination. Visualization is not wishful thinking, it's strategic thinking. Every great athlete, every successful entrepreneur, every artist at the top of their craft, they visualize before they perform. They don't just practice their skill. They practice seeing themselves succeed. Michael Jordan saw every shot go in before he took it. Serena Williams saw every win before she stepped on the court. They train their minds to expect success, not to hope for it. That's what separates professionals from amateurs. Amateurs hope, professionals expect. They build the victory in their minds before they build in reality. When you visualize victory, you're training your brain to focus on what matters. The human mind doesn't know the difference between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. So when you see yourself winning, when you imagine yourself walking across that stage, finishing that project, breaking that record, your brain starts to rewire itself. It starts forming connections, building confidence, strengthening the belief that you are capable. And that belief drives your behavior. You start working harder, thinking sharper, moving smarter. Not because someone told you to, but because you've already seen the outcome. You've already been there in your mind. But here's the thing. Visualization is not a one-time event. You can't do it once and expect your life to change. You got to do it daily, like brushing your teeth. You got to feed your mind with the image of success every morning and every night. The world is full of noise, full of distractions, full of negativity trying to steal your focus. If you don't program your mind, the world will program it for you. So when you wake up, before you check your phone, before you scroll through social media, take a moment and see your future. Close your eyes and picture it. Picture the version of you who has already conquered your fear, already reached your goals. What do they do differently? How do they talk? How do they walk? How do they treat others? Then go live like that person today. You got to train your imagination like an athlete trains their body. Some of you haven't exercised your imagination in years. You stopped dreaming because you've been disappointed. You stopped visualizing because life hit you hard. But listen to me. You can't let failure kill your vision. You can't let setbacks blind your imagination. That's where power lives. If you stop seeing where you're going, you'll stop moving. You got to pick that vision back up and see it clearer than ever. I don't care how bad it's been. If you can see it again, you can be it again. Every single day, you should take time to sit in silence and play the movie of your future. See yourself waking up in that house, working that job, speaking on that stage, helping those people live in their purpose. Don't just think about it, feel it. Feel the excitement, the peace, the gratitude. Feel the pride of accomplishment. Because when you connect emotion to vision, it becomes real to your subconscious. Your subconscious doesn't operate on logic. It operates on emotion and repetition. So the more you feel it and repeat it, the more your brain believes it's true. And when your brain believes it, your behavior starts to match it automatically. That's how you create alignment between your dreams and your actions. But here's the truth most people miss. Visualization without work is just fantasy. You can't just see it. You've got to chase it. You've got to act like the person you're visualizing. If you see yourself as confident, start speaking confidently. If you see yourself as disciplined, start living discipline. You can't just daydream about success and then live like you're uncommitted. Your actions must match your vision. When your vision and your habits line up, success becomes inevitable. But if you visualize greatness and act lazily, you're sending mixed signals to the universe. You're saying you want it, but your energy says otherwise. When I was coming up, I used to sit in rooms that didn't belong to me yet. I would walk around campuses and imagine myself speaking there. I would see the audience, hear the applause, feel the energy. I saw it long before it happened. People laughed at me, told me I was dreaming too big. But that vision kept me going. It gave me fuel when I had nothing else. It gave me direction when everything else felt lost. That's what visualization does. It gives you a map when you're walking through fog. It reminds you that there's something bigger waiting for you on the other side of your struggle. There will be days when life tries to blur your vision. You'll face rejection, failure, heartbreak. You'll start doubting yourself, and the picture in your mind will start to fade. But that's when you gotta fight the hardest to see again. You've got to close your eyes and remember why you started. Remember what it looked like when you first saw your dream clearly. Because if you can still see it in your mind, you can still reach it with your hands. Don't let the temporary pain of the process make you forget the permanent joy of the prominent joy of the promise. Visualization is also about seeing beyond the obstacles. It's about focusing on the destination, not the detours. Too many people stare at the wall instead of the door. They focus on what's wrong instead of what's possible. When you visualize victory, you're programming your brain to find solutions, not excuses. You're saying, I don't care how hard it is, I'm going to find a way. And once your mind accepts that there's a way, it starts finding one. That's why people who visualize consistently are more resilient, because they've already seen themselves overcome. They're not surprised by struggle. They've rehearsed success in advance. And let me tell you this, visualization is not just about personal gain. It's about purpose. You got to see yourself making an impact. You got to visualize the people you're helping, the lives you're changing. Because when your vision serves others, it gives you an unstoppable reason to keep going. You stop chasing fame and start chasing fulfillment. You stop chasing approval and start chasing purpose. And purpose gives your vision power. If you ever doubt that visualization works, just look at the world around you. Everything that exists, the phone in your hand, the building you're in, the car you drive, it all started in someone's mind first. Somebody saw it before it was real. Somebody imagined it before it existed. The Wright brothers saw a flight before the first airplane took off. Steve Jobs saw the iPhone before it was built. Greatness always begins as a vision. That's why the most important thing you can protect is your imagination. Because once your imagination, that's your future dies with it. So here's what I want you to do. Start seeing your future daily. See it before bed. See it when you wake up. See it when you're tired, when you're discouraged, when you want to quit. Let that image fuel you. Let it remind you of who you're becoming. Don't wait for the world to show it to you. Show it to yourself first. Because what you consistently visualize, you magnetize. What you hold in your mind long enough, you'll eventually hold in your hand. Your vision is your blueprint. It's your mental rehearsal for greatness. You can't skip this step and expect to win. You got to see yourself breaking through. You got to see yourself becoming the person your dream requires you to be. You got to see it so vividly that it becomes impossible to quit. And when you do that, when you train your eyes to look beyond what's not, your reality starts to shift. Your reality starts to shift. The world starts to bend toward your beliefs. So visualize victory every single day, not because it's a nice idea, but because it's the foundation of achievement. If you can see it, you can plan it. If you can plan it, you can act on it. And if you can act on it, you can live it. That's how dreams are built. First in your mind, then in your grind, and finally in your life. You just got to see it every single day until victory isn't a dream anymore. It's who you are. Consistency builds confidence. That's not just a catchy phrase, that's true. You don't become confident by talking about what you want to do. You become confident by showing up again and again. Even when it's hard, even when it's boring, even when it feels like nothing's working. Confidence isn't born in comfort, it's born in repetition. Every time you follow through on what you said you do, every time you keep a promise to yourself, you're building proof. Proof that you can trust you. That's what confidence really is, self-trust. It's not arrogance, it's not ego, it's knowing deep down that you can count on yourself when things get tough. See, most people think confidence comes first. They think they need confidence to start. But that's backward. You don't start with confidence, you build it through consistency. You don't wake up one day and suddenly believe in yourself. You believe in yourself because you put in the reps. Because you've shown up when it was inconvenient. Because you've done it scared, done it tired, done it uncertain. You can't buy confidence. You can't fake it for long. You've got to earn it through discipline, through routine, through the grind that nobody sees. Think about it. The person who trains every day, who keeps going to the gym even when they don't feel like it, who keeps practicing their craft even when the applause stops, that person starts walking different. Not because they're better than anyone else, but because they built evidence that they can deliver. Every small action compounds. Every day you show up, you make a deposit in your confidence account. And one day, you look up and realize you're not scared anymore. You're not unsure anymore. You're not asking, and can I do this? You're saying, I've done this 100 times before. That's what consistency gives you. Evidence. It silences doubt. It turns insecurity into assurance. You start to realize that you don't need anyone else to validate you because your work speaks for itself. You've seen yourself do it. You've seen yourself get better. And that builds a kind of quiet confidence that can't be shaken. Confidence that doesn't come from hype, but from habit. But most people never get there because they quit too early. They want the results without the repetition. They want the confidence without the consistency. They want to feel ready before they start. And that's the trap. You'll never feel ready. You'll never feel 100% sure. You've got to move first. You've got to take the first step while you're shaking. Because every time you act in the face of doubt, you weaken its power. Every time you push through fear, you train your brain to trust your strength. Consistency is the bridge between who you are and who you want to be. You can't cross that bridge at one leap. You've got to walk it step by step, day by day. It's the early mornings, the late nights, the quiet sacrifices when nobody's watching. It's not glamorous, it's not loud, it's not easy, but it's effective. Every small act of discipline adds up. Every decision to show up creates momentum. And momentum is magic. It makes things that used to feel impossible feel natural. Confidence doesn't come from talking about your dreams. It comes from working on them relentlessly. The athlete who trains for hours every day doesn't have to psych themselves up before a big game. They're ready because they prepare. The speaker who practices their message every morning doesn't need to fake confidence on stage. They've already lived it. Confidence is the natural result of consistent effort. It's the reward for doing what most people won't do. Keep showing up. But here's what you gotta understand. Consistency is not about perfection. You don't have to get it right every day. You just have to keep coming back. Some days you'll fail. Some days you'll fall short. But that doesn't mean you stop. Consistency isn't about being flawless. It's about being faithful. It's about saying, even when it's not perfect, I'm still gonna show up. Because showing up imperfectly still beats not showing up at all. Too many people give up after one bad day, one bad week, one bad result. They let temporary failure become permanent. But those who win understand that consistency is not measured in days, it's measured in decades. They play the long game. Confidence doesn't grow in big leaps. It grows in small, almost invisible ways. It's the quiet victories, the tiny wins, the moments when nobody's cheering. You go to the gym one day, you don't see change. You go the next week, still nothing. But 3 months later, you catch your reflection and realize you've transformed. That's how consistency works. It's invisible at first, it's slow. But then one day it hits, and you realize you're a different person. You've evolved without even noticing. There's power in the process. Every repetition is a vote for the person you want to become. Every time you push through resistance, you're casting a vote for strength, for belief, for growth. That's why discipline matters. It's not about punishment, it's about progression. Discipline is how you tell your future self, I've got you. Because every act of consistency is a promise kept. And those promises build trust, not with others, but with yourself. And that's where real confidence comes from. Knowing that you'll do what you say you do. You don't need to wait for motivation. You don't need someone to push you. You train yourself to be reliable. You become your own source of accountability. You built the kind of mindset that doesn't crumble under pressure because you've been through pressure before. Confidence isn't found in avoiding hard things. It's found in surviving them again and again until hard things become normal. There will be days when you don't feel it. Days when the progress seems invisible. Days when you want to give up. But that's when consistency matters most. Because confidence grows strongest in the moments when you keep going, despite feeling nothing. It's easy to stay consistent when results are visible, but real growth happens when you stay consistent even when they're not. You keep planting even when the soil looks dry because you trust that the roots are growing underground. And here's the secret. The people you admire, the ones who look effortlessly confident, they're not superhuman. They're just stuck with it longer than everyone else. They went through the same doubts, the same insecurities, but they refused to quit. Their confidence is the result of their endurance. They earned it, and so can you. You've got to understand that consistency isn't about intensity, it's about longevity. Anyone can go hard for a week. Anyone can be motivated for a moment. But can you stay committed when the excitement fades? Can you still grind when the applause stops? Can you still show up when nobody's watching? That's where confidence is built. Not in the moments of hype, but in the moments of hype. And let's be real, consistency is hard because it's not exciting, it's not glamorous, it's routine. But it's the only path to mastery. Every master was once a beginner who refused to quit. Every confident person was once insecure but consistent. You can't control how you feel every day, but you control whether or not you show up. And that control, that discipline, that's what builds strength. If you want to be confident, stop waiting to feel ready and start being consistent. Stop chasing the emotion, start chasing emotion, and start chasing the routine. Motivation will fade, excitement will fade, but habits will carry you. Build habits that reinforce your identity. If you want to be a writer, write every day. If you want to be a leader, act with integrity every day. If you want to be fit, train every day. The more you repeat, the more you reinforce. The more you reinforce, the more confident you become. Confidence doesn't show up on day one. It shows up after day 1,000. It shows up after the repetition, after the long nights, after the quiet mornings when nobody was watching. That's when it's born. In the unseen, in the ordinary, in the consistent pursuit of excellence. And once you have that kind of confidence, nobody can take it from you. Because it's not built on opinion. It's built on proof. It's not built on applause. It's built on effort. It's not built on what people think. It's built on what you've done. So if you want confidence, start small, but stay steady. Don't chase perfection. Chase persistence. Don't wait for motivation. Build discipline. Don't rely on luck. Rely on habits. Every single day, stack small wins. Over time, they become unshakable belief. That's the foundation of confidence. That's what makes you unstoppable. And when you reach that point, when you've been consistent for so long that it's part of who you are, you'll look back and realize that the confidence you were searching for was never something you needed to find. It was something you were meant to build, one consistent day at a time. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of it. Most people are terrified of failure because they see it as a verdict, as proof that they're not good enough. But the truth is, failure is the training ground for greatness. You don't learn to win without learning to lose. You don't discover your strength until you've been broken. You don't become wise until you've been wrong. Every person who's ever achieved something remarkable has one thing in common. They failed more than anyone else. The difference is they didn't stay down. They saw failure not as an ending, but as feedback. Failure is the universe's way of teaching you something you couldn't have learned any other way. It exposes your weaknesses so you can strengthen them. It reveals your blind spots so you can correct them. It humbles your ego so you can grow with grace. Every time you fail, life is handing you a lesson wrapped in pain. Most people throw the lesson away because they can't see past the pain. But those who win, those who grow, they unwrap the pain and study it. They ask, what can I learn from this? How can this make me better? That's how you turn failure into fuel. When you fail, you're not starting over from scratch. You're starting over from experience. That experience is priceless. It's what gives you the edge. It's what makes you resilient. Every failure carries data. What worked, what didn't, what needs to change. Winners use that data. They don't take failure personally. They take it professionally. They analyze it. They adjust. They adapt. That's how progress is made, not by avoiding mistakes, but by using them to climb higher. The truth is, most people never achieve their dreams not because they lack talent, but because they're afraid to fail publicly. They'd rather stay safe in mediocrity than risk embarrassment in pursuit of mastery. But the ones who make it, the ones who stand out, are the ones who are willing to look foolish, to stumble, to be misunderstood. Because they know the price of growth is temporary discomfort. They'd rather endure short-term pain than live a lifetime wondering, or what if? You can't skip failure. You can't fake your way around it. You gotta go through it. It's like fire. It burns, but it also purifies. It strips away the unnecessary and reveals what's real. Failure doesn't destroy you, it defines you. It's how you respond to it that shapes your destiny. Some people let failure make them bitter. Others let it make them better. The choice is always yours. When you fail, you'll find out who you really are. You find out what you believe, how badly you want it, and what you're made of. Talk is easy when things are going well. But when everything falls apart, when your plans crumble and your confidence shakes, that's when your true self shows up. That's when character is revealed. Failure doesn't build character, it exposes. And once you see who you really are, you have a chance to rebuild stronger, wiser, and more resilient than before. Every successful person you admire, the athletes, the entrepreneurs, the creators, the leaders, they all have a long history of failure behind the scenes. You just see the highlight reel. You see the trophies, the applause, the recognition, but what you don't see are the countless rejections, the sleepless nights, the setbacks that almost broke them. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. Oprah Winfrey was fired from her first TV job. Steve Jobs was kicked out of his own company. These people didn't succeed in spite of failure. They succeeded because of it. Failure taught them what success never could. The problem isn't failure itself. It's how you interpret it. Most people let failure write their story. They fail once and start believing they're a failure. But that's not the same thing. Failing doesn't make you a failure. Quitting does. Failure is an event, not an identity. It's a temporary state, not a permanent label. If you keep moving, if you keep learning, if you keep showing up, then failure simply becomes part of your process. It becomes your teacher. There's something powerful about falling and rising again. Every time you fall, you gain humility. Every time you rise, you gain strength. The combination of the two makes you unstoppable. Failure trains you to detach your worth from your performance. It teaches you that your value doesn't depend on one result, one mistake, or one bad season. It teaches you patience. It teaches you endurance. It teaches you to trust the process even when you can't see progress. You gotta learn to fail forward. Don't just fail and stop. Fail and step. Every failure can push you forward if you use it right. Ask yourself, what can I take from this that will make me better next time? What patterns am I repeating? What lesson am I ignoring? Because failure will keep repeating itself until you learn what it's trying to teach you. It's not punishment, it's preparation. It's preparation. It's preparing you for the success you're asking for. Sometimes life delays your victory because you're not ready to handle it yet. Failure is how you get ready. The truth is, failure hurts. There's no point pretending it doesn't. It stings your pride, it bruises your confidence, it makes you question yourself. But pain isn't your enemy. It's your compass. It shows you where you need to grow. It points to the areas that need attention. The discomfort you feel after failing is a signal that you're stretching beyond your comfort zone. And that's exactly where growth happens, at the edge of discomfort. Think about it like a muscle. Growth doesn't happen when you're resting. It happens when you push your limits, when you tear the fibers a little so they can rebuild stronger. Failure works the same way. It tears the old version of you so that a stronger version can emerge. Every setback builds strength. Every loss builds wisdom. Every disappointment builds discipline. You're not being punished. You're being prepared. But you got to make a decision. You can let failure define you, or you can let it refine you. You can see it as the end, or you can see it as an evolution. The people who succeed aren't the ones who never fail. They're the ones who never stop learning. They see failure as feedback, not defeat. They use it to adjust their strategy, not abandon their dream. They understand that failure is just a detour on the road to success, not a dead end. Here's the hard truth. If you're not failing, you're not trying hard enough. Playing it safe might protect your ego, but it kills your potential. Playing small doesn't serve you or anyone else. You've got to take risks, make mistakes, and be willing to look foolish. Every great innovation, every breakthrough, every success story started with someone who dared to fail big. Because big dreams require big risks, and big risks always come with big lessons. You have to stop running from failure and start respecting it. Treat it like a mentor, not a monster. Listen to it, learn from it, and then move on. Don't stay stuck in shame. Don't replay the moment in your head 1,000 times. Take what you need and let the rest go. The goal isn't to avoid falling. It's to learn how to fall better and faster so you can rise stronger each time. And when you finally win, when you finally break through and reach the goal you've been fighting for, the victory will mean more because you'll know what it cost. You'll know the nights of doubt, the tears of frustration, the moments when quitting looked easier. You'll know that every failure wasn't wasted. It was working for you, shaping you, strengthening you, molding you into the person capable of holding that success. So don't fear failure, fear regret. Fear what happens if you let fear stop you from trying, because the pain of failure is temporary, but the pain of regret lasts forever. You can recover from a mistake, but you can't recover from never knowing what could have been. Failure will visit you whether you like it or not. The question is, when it does, will you let it break you or will you let it build you? The world doesn't reward those who never fall. It rewards those who rise after every fall. That's the secret of champions. They don't see failure as the end of the story. They see it as a plot twist, and they keep writing. They keep believing, because they know that every failure is just one step closer to success, one lesson closer to mastery, one moment closer to becoming who they were meant to be. So don't run from failure. Embrace it, study it, use it, let it shape you, let it strengthen you, let it strengthen you, let it teach you what comfort never could. Every scar tells a story of resilience. Every failure holds a seed of growth. And every time you rise again, you prove to yourself that you're stronger than you thought. That's how champions are made. Not by avoiding failure, but by believing through it, growing through it, and coming out the other side unshakable. Surrounding yourself with belief is one of the most powerful things you can ever do for your life. Because no matter how strong, talented, or motivated you think you are, there will be moments when your own belief will fade. There will be moments when doubt will whisper louder than your dreams, when exhaustion will be harder than motivation, when fear will cloud your vision. In those moments, the people around you, their energy, their mindset, their words can either lift you up or drag you down. That's why you've got to be intentional about who you allow into your circle. The environment you're in can either water your belief or poison it. When you're chasing something big, when you're trying to rise to a new level, not everyone will understand your vision. Some people will doubt you. Some will mock you. Some will tell you to be unrealistic. But what they call realistic is just their limitation. You can't let small minds convince you that your big dream is impossible. If you keep letting people who've given up on their dreams speak into your life, eventually you'll start to give up on yours. That's why you need to surround yourself with people who think bigger, dream higher, and believe deeper. People who remind you of who you are when you forget. People who see potential in you that you don't even see in yourself yet. Belief is contagious. When you're around people who truly believe, not just in themselves, but in something greater, you start to absorb that energy. You start to see possibilities where you used to see problems. You start to expect more from yourself because you're surrounded by others who expect greatness from themselves. Iron sharpens iron. You can't grow sharp if you're constantly surrounded by dull blades. You need people who challenge you, push you, and hold you accountable to your potential, not your comfort zone. The truth is, we become like the people we spend the most time with. It's not just a saying, it's science. Our brains mirror the behaviors, attitudes, and emotions of those around us. That means if you're constantly surrounded by negativity, gossip, laziness, and fear, that energy will start to seep into you no matter how strong you think you are. But if you surround yourself with people who radiate passion, focus, and faith, you'll start to move in that direction naturally. Environment matters more than we like to admit. You can have all the motivation in the world, but if you plant it in the wrong soil, you won't grow. You need people who will remind you to believe when you start to forget why you began. People who will call you out when you're slipping, not because they're judging you, but because they refuse to watch you settle. Real friends don't let you stay average. Real mentors don't let you play small. Real believers don't just cheer when you win. They challenge you when you're lazy. They correct you when you're off track. And they encourage you when you're ready to give up. They don't feed your excuses. They feed your excellence. It's easy to underestimate the power of association. But think about it. Every major turning point in your life probably involved people. Someone inspired you. Someone believed in you. Someone gave you a chance when you didn't even believe in yourself. And in the same way, the wrong people can delay your growth, distract your focus, and drain your confidence. Energy is real, and you can't afford to waste yours in circles where belief is absent. Sometimes the hardest part of growth is outgrowing people. There will be those you love, those you've known for years, but you'll start to feel that their energy doesn't align with your purpose anymore. They'll try to pull you back to the version of you they're comfortable with, not the version you're becoming. And you'll have to make a decision, comfort or calling. You can't chase both. Growth requires space. And sometimes that space comes from distance. It's not about arrogance or cutting people off out of ego. It's about protecting your peace and your potential. When you surround yourself with belief, you start to live differently. You start to speak differently. You start to think differently. You stop saying, I can't, and stop saying, I can't. You stop focusing on problems and start looking for possibilities, because belief shifts your perspective. It doesn't change the size of your obstacles. It changes the size of your faith. When you're surrounded by people who believe, you stop shrinking your dreams to fit your environment, and you start expanding your environment to fit your dreams. You need people who speak life into you. People who tell you, you've got this, even when you're doubting yourself. People who remind you of the vision when the road gets blurry. People who say, keep going when the world said, give up. Because sometimes all it takes is one voice of belief to silence thousands voices of doubt. You never know how powerful it is to have someone in your corner until you've had to fight alone. Having even one person who genuinely believes in you can change everything, but it goes both ways. You can't just expect to receive belief. You've got to give it too. You've got to be that person for someone else. The more you lift others up, the stronger your own belief becomes. When you encourage others, you reinforce your own conviction. When you help someone else see their potential, you remind yourself of yours. Belief grows when it's shared. It's like a flame. When you use it to light another, yours doesn't dim. It grows brighter. In life, you'll meet three kinds of people. Those who drain your energy, those who do nothing for your energy, and those who fuel your energy. Be ruthless about staying close to the ones who fuel it. The dreamers, the doers, the believers, the ones who see opportunity when everyone else sees impossibility. The ones who don't just talk about what's wrong, but focus on what can be made right. The ones who bring solutions, not excuses. Those are the people who will help you grow. And if you can't find those people yet, be one. Start creating that energy yourself. Be the first believer in the room. Be the one who chooses positivity, who chooses faith, who chooses growth. Because energy attracts energy, attracts energy. The right people will find you when you start walking in your purpose. The right community will surround you when you start living with conviction. You don't have to wait for the perfect circle. Start building it through your actions, your attitude, and your example. Sometimes the reason your belief feels weak isn't because you've lost your ability to believe, but because you've been surrounded by disbelief for too long. When you're constantly around people who complain, criticize, and play victim, it's like breathing polluted air. Slowly, it suffocates your potential, but the moment you change your environment, it's like stepping into fresh oxygen. Suddenly, your energy returns, your vision clears, your confidence rebuilds. That's the power of surrounding yourself with belief. Belief is a force. It's invisible but undeniable. It has the power to transform your mindset, your momentum, and your entire life. But belief doesn't thrive in negativity. It needs an environment of faith, hope, and action. So be intentional. Evaluate the voices you allow to influence you. Ask yourself, are they feeding my fire or extinguishing it? Are they helping me rise or keeping me stuck? Because whether you realize it or not, those voices shape your future. When you walk with believers, you start to see yourself differently. You start to believe that impossible isn't really impossible. You start to take bolder steps, dream bigger dreams, and push harder than before. Belief becomes your atmosphere. It's no longer something you have to force. It becomes something you breathe. And when you breathe belief long enough, you start to exhale success. You start to live with confidence, to act with clarity, and to move with conviction. There will always be people who doubt you. Let them. You're not here to convince doubters. You're here to connect with believers. You're here to build a life that reflects your faith, not their fear. Because at the end of the day, doubt is loud, but belief is stronger. And when you're surrounded by people who believe with you, believe and believe for you even when you're tired, that collective belief becomes unstoppable. So protect your circle like your life depends on it, because in many ways it does. Your future, your growth, your peace, your purpose, they all depend on the energy you surround yourself with. Choose wisely. Choose people who push you, not pacify you. Choose people who inspire you, not intimidate you. Choose people who speak belief, not bitterness. Because when you walk with believers, you rise faster, you fall softer, and you shine brighter. And one day, when you're standing on that stage, living the dream that once felt impossible, you'll look around and realize that you didn't get there alone. You got there because you surrounded yourself with belief. Belief that built you, belief that sustained you, belief that reminded you every single day that you were capable, that you were chosen, and that you were enough. That's the power of the right environment. It doesn't just change what you do, it changes who you become. Visualization turns belief into reality. It's the bridge between what you dream about and what you actually create. When you visualize your goal, you're not just imagining something, you're programming your mind, conditioning your body, and aligning your spirit to make it happen. The truth is, the mind can't distinguish between what's vividly imagined and what's actually experienced. That means when you consistently visualize your success, your brain starts to believe it's already real. And when your brain believes something is real, your actions begin to follow that belief. Visualization is the rehearsal for greatness. It's mental preparation for physical manifestation. You see, every champion sees victory long before it happens. Every entrepreneur sees the business long before the world believes in it. Every creator sees the masterpiece in their mind before it takes shape in their hands. Nothing exists physically that wasn't first imagined mentally. The phone you use, the car you drive, the building you're sitting in, they all started as a vision in someone's mind. That's the power of visualization. Before it's visible to the world, it's visible to the visionary. When you start to visualize, you give your dream structure. You move from vague wishes to vivid images. You stop saying, I want to be successful, and start seeing yourself walking across that stage, signing that deal, or living that life. You imagine the details, what it looks like, what it feels like, what it sounds like, what it sounds like. You make it so real in your mind that your subconscious begins to look for ways to make it happen. That's not magic. That's not magic. That's neuroscience. Your brain's reticular activating system, the filter between your conscious and subconscious, starts to focus on opportunities aligned with what you visualize. You begin to notice things that were always there but invisible to you before. That's why when you focus on problems, you find more problems. But when you focus on possibility, you start finding solutions. Visualization gives your belief direction. It takes that raw faith and shapes it into a clear target. It's not enough to believe you'll succeed. You got to see what success looks like. The clearer your vision, the stronger your focus. Because when you see it in your mind, you can hold on to it when the world tells you it's impossible. When the road gets hard, when people doubt you, that inner image becomes your anchor. It reminds you why you started and what you're working toward. But visualization isn't just about seeing, it's about feeling. You can't just imagine the image. You gotta feel the emotion attached to it. Feel the joy of achieving it, the pride of becoming it, the gratitude of living it. When you emotionally connect to your vision, it becomes magnetic. The emotion you feel gives the vision life. You start to move differently, speak differently, carry yourself differently, because deep down, you already believe you're that person. And eventually, the world catches up to that belief. The problem is most people visualize their fears more than their dream. They spend their days imagining everything that could go wrong. What if I fail? What if they laugh? What if it doesn't work out? Every time you dwell on fear, you're visualizing failure. And your brain, being obedient, starts creating behaviors that make that outcome more likely. That's why you got to protect your mind. You got to intentionally choose what pictures you play on the screen of your imagination. Because what you constantly visualize, you eventually realize. Visualization is not daydreaming. It's discipline. It's a practice. You've got to do it daily, deliberately, and with focus. You wake up and see your future before the world sees it. You take a few minutes to imagine yourself living the life you're working for. You visualize the steps, the process, the feeling of it. You visualize the challenges too, and yourself overcoming them with strength and confidence. Because when your mind has already faced adversity in imagination, you're calmer when it happens in reality. You've already lived it once. You're prepared. Every high performer from athletes to CEOs, uses visualization as a secret weapon. The sprinter imagines every stride before the race. The speaker visualizes every pause, every word, every applause before stepping on stage. The musician feels the rhythm in their head before they ever play a note. Visualization primes performance. It turns anxiety into readiness. It builds confidence before the action even begins. But visualization only works when it's paired with action. You can't just sit and dream about it. You've got to get up and do it. Visualization plants the seed, but effort waters it. You have to match your vision with consistent movement. You see it in your mind and then chase it in your reality. That's how manifestation works. It's not wishing, not wishing. It's working with clarity. Visualization without action is fantasy. Visualization with discipline is power. And you don't just visualize the end goal. You visualize the process. See yourself waking up early, putting in the work, making the calls, staying focused. Because that's what most people forget. The goal is just the reward, but the process is what transforms you. When you start loving the process, you visualize. You stop being addicted to the outcome. You find peace, and the peace keeps you consistent when results are slow. Visualization also helps you reprogram the stories you tell yourself. If you failed before, your mind might be replaying those old failures on loop. But you can overwrite those old tapes. You can close your eyes and see yourself succeeding instead. You can create a new mental movie, one where you win, one where you thrive, one where you overcome. And the more often you play that movie, the more your mind believes it's true. Slowly, the voice that once said, well, maybe, whispering, well, maybe I can. And then one day, I will. Your imagination is your creative laboratory. It's where faith becomes form. Everything that exists in your life today was first a thought, a mental picture. That means if you don't like what you see around you, change what you're seeing within you. Don't wait for your circumstances to shift before you shift your vision. The outer world is a reflection of your inner world. When you change your inner image, your outer reality begins to align. Visualization also sharpens your focus. When your vision is clear, distractions lose their power. You stop chasing everything and start aligning with what matters. You stop comparing yourself to others because you're too busy creating your own path. You stop doubting because you've already seen yourself succeeding in your mind. Visualization turns uncertainty into certainty. It gives you something to hold on to when the world feels chaotic. You gotta protect that vision like it's sacred, because it is. Don't share it with everyone. Not everyone will understand. Some people will laugh, others will criticize. That's okay. It wasn't given to them, it was given to you. You gotta nurture it, water it with faith, feed it with hard work, and surround it with belief. Because visions die in the wrong environment. Keep your dream close until it's strong enough to stand on its own. When you visualize your success, you start to attract it. Your thoughts shape your vibration, and your vibration shapes your reality. People feel your energy before they hear your words. If you carry the energy of someone who already believes, already sees, already knows they're destined for more, the world responds to that confidence. Doors open, opportunities appear, connections align. That's not luck, that's alignment. You have to start seeing yourself as the person you're becoming, not just the person you've been. If you keep visualizing your past, you'll stay stuck there. But if you visualize your future, you begin to move toward it. Your mind is like a compass. Wherever you focus it, that's where your life starts heading. So see yourself stronger, see yourself wiser, see yourself successful, fulfilled, free. Let that image pull you forward when your motivation fades. There's a reason successful people talk about a vision. Vision isn't just a fancy word, it's the map. Without vision, you're wandering. With vision, you're walking with direction. And visualization is how you keep that vision alive when you can't see results yet. It's how you remind yourself that even if it's not visible, it's still possible. It's how you keep your belief alive in the dark until it reaches the light. You might not have everything you want yet. You might still be struggling, still waiting, still building. But don't let your current situation blind your future vision. What you see now is temporary. What you visualize is eternal. Keep your inner picture stronger than your outer reality. Keep seeing the victory even when you stand in the valley. That's how belief becomes unbreakable. And when the day finally comes, when the dream you once saw in your mind stands in front of you, you'll realize something powerful. You didn't just create it, you became it. Well, you became the person you once only imagined. You turned your vision into vibration, your belief into behavior, your dream into destiny. That's the real magic of visualization. It doesn't just change what you achieve, it changes who you are. So every morning before the world starts demanding your attention, close your eyes for a few minutes and see it. See yourself winning, see yourself becoming. See yourself living the life you were created for. Feel it, believe it. Then open your eyes and go to work for it. Because when belief and visualization meet action, the impossible becomes inevitable. Faith is the fire that keeps you moving when everything around you tells you to stop. It's the invisible force that whispers, keep going, even when the world screams to give up. Faith is believing without proof, trusting without sight, and holding on to a promise that hasn't yet shown up in your reality. When Eric Thomas speaks about believing before you achieve, he's really talking about faith. That deep, unshakable conviction that what you're working toward will manifest, even when the odds are against you. Faith is not just about religion or spirituality. It's about mindset, it's about character, it's about the way you show up when the evidence doesn't support your dream. The truth is, success isn't built on certainty, it's built on faith. Every person who's ever done something great had to believe before they saw results. They had to trust that the hours they were putting in, the sacrifices they were making, the rejection they were enduring, were all leading somewhere. Faith is the bridge between the struggle and the success. It's what keeps you grinding when logic says stop. It's what makes you get up one more time when you've been knocked down for the 100th time. Faith isn't about pretending everything is okay. It's about knowing that even if it's not okay right now, it will be. It's about trusting the process even when you don't understand the plan. You see, there will be moments in your journey where you won't see any progress. You'll look around and feel like you're stuck, like your effort isn't paying off. Those are the moments when most people quit. But people with faith don't quit. They push harder. They remind themselves that progress is often invisible before it becomes undeniable. They remind themselves that every seed takes time to grow underground before it breaks through the surface. Faith is what separates dreamers from doers. Anyone can have a dream. It takes faith to chase it relentlessly. Because faith demands that you act before the reward appears. You start the business before the customers come. You practice your craft before the applause arrives. You train in silence before the spotlight hits. That's faith taking action even when you can't see the outcome. And the most powerful kind of faith is active faith that works, faith that builds, faith that moves. Faith without action is fantasy. But faith with effort, that's transformation. There's a moment in every person's journey where they hit the wall. The moment when it feels impossible to go on. The results aren't showing. The resources are running out. And the motivation is fading. That's the moment that tests your faith. Because when everything is going well, it's easy to believe. But when everything falls apart, that's when true faith begins. Faith is not tested in comfort, it's tested in chaos. You discover what you really believe when you have every reason to stop, but you choose to continue. That's the kind of faith that builds legends. Faith doesn't remove fear, it helps you move through it. You might still feel scared, uncertain, and anxious, but faith says, do it anyway. You might not have all the answers, but faith says, take the step. You might not see the whole staircase, but faith says, climb the first step. It's in taking that first step that the path starts to reveal itself. You don't get to see the entire picture at once. You get pieces, moments, and small confirmations that tell you you're on the right track. That's how faith works. You move forward in the dark, trusting that each step will light the next one. There's something powerful about trusting timing. Sometimes faith means waiting when you want to move, and when you want to move and when you want to wait. It's about understanding that delay is not denial. Just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it won't. Faith keeps you patient, grounded, and persistent. It reminds you that what's meant for you won't miss you, but only if you keep walking toward it. The people who lose faith too soon miss blessings that were only a few steps away. You gotta hold on just a little longer. Sometimes faith is simply refusing to give up. Faith also changes your energy. When you truly believe something will work out, you start speaking differently, acting differently, thinking differently. You stop complaining and start preparing. You stop doubting and start expecting. You carry a different vibration, one that attracts what you're working toward. The world responds to that confidence. Faith is contagious. When people see someone walking with unshakable belief, it inspires them. It makes them wonder, what do they know that I don't? That's why leaders have to have faith. Because faith is what creates followers, believers, and builders. But faith is not blind, it's built. You build faith by remembering your past victories. Every time you overcome something, every time you get through what you thought you could, your faith grows stronger. You start realizing that if you made it before, you can make it again. You start seeing challenges as setups for comebacks. You start understanding that every delay, every detour, every disappointment was preparing you for something greater. That's what mature faith looks like. It's not fragile, it's fortified by experience. The truth is, faith and failure are inseparable. You can't have faith without risking failure. If there's no risk, there's no need for faith. Every big leap requires a moment of uncertainty. That heart-pounding, breath-holding moment where you don't know if it's going to work. That's where faith lives. Not in the comfort zone, but in the unknown. And every time you choose faith over fear, you train your mind to trust more and doubt less. You start realizing that failure isn't final. It's feedback. It's part of the path. Faith doesn't guarantee success immediately, but it guarantees growth eternally. Faith also requires surrender. You've got to be willing to let go of control, to stop trying to manipulate the timing and the outcome. You do your part. You give your all, and then you trust that everything else will align as it's meant to. That doesn't mean you stop working. It means you stop worrying. You focus on what you can control, your effort, your attitude, your consistency, and you let faith handle what you can. Worry and faith can't live in the same space. The moment you start trusting the process, you stop being consumed by the pressure of it. Sometimes faith means believing in yourself when no one else does. It means holding on to your worth when people doubt your potential. You've got to be your own biggest believer. He said, if you don't believe in you, why should anyone else? Faith starts within. You can't borrow it from others. You've got to cultivate it by feeding your mind with positivity, by surrounding yourself with people who lift you, and by speaking life over your goals. Words are powerful. Words are powerful. They either feed your faith or fuel your fear. That's why you got to guard your tongue and train it to speak victory even when you're still fighting. Faith is not passive. It's power in motion. It's that inner fire that refuses to die no matter how many storms come. It's what allows you to stand tall in seasons of uncertainty and say, I may not be where I want to be yet, but I'm on my way. It's the quiet confidence that I've come too far to quit now. Faith gives you endurance. It makes you stronger than your circumstances and louder than your doubts. The most beautiful thing about faith is that it doesn't require you to have it all figured out. It just asks you to believe one more day, to wake up and try again, to show up even when it hurts, to keep walking even when the road is unclear. That's what faith looks like in real life. Not perfection, but persistence. Every small act of faith adds up. Every time you choose belief over doubt, you're building a foundation for greatness. One day, everything you've been working for will manifest. You'll look back and realize that faith carried you through every season. The failures, the silence, the loneliness, the waiting. You'll see that faith didn't just get you the dream, it shaped you into the person capable of holding. Because the truth is, the journey is not about what you get, it's about who you become. And faith is what transforms you on the way there. So keep believing even when it doesn't make sense. Keep trusting even when the road is unclear. Keep walking even when the light is dim. Because faith is not about seeing the path. It's about believing the destination exists. It's about knowing deep down that something bigger is guiding you, that your purpose is still unfolding, that your story is still being written. Faith says, I will show up today even if I don't see results. Faith says, I will trust the process even if I don't understand it. Faith says, I will keep moving forward even if I have to crawl. That's the kind of faith that changes lives. That's the kind of faith that moves mountains. And when you live with that level of belief, there's nothing you can't achieve. Because the moment you truly believe, the moment you let faith replace fear, your life starts to align with your vision. You may not know how or when your breakthrough will come, but if you hold on to faith, it will. Keep showing up, keep believing, keep working. Faith is the seed, persistence is the soil, and your effort is the sunlight. Together, they produce the life you've been dreaming of. Believe it, feel it, live it. And one day, you'll look around and realize that what you once prayed for has become your reality. That's the power of faith. That's what it means to believe before you achieve. Every journey has an ending, but the end of this one isn't about stopping. It's about realizing what you've become through the process. All belief before you achieve isn't just a motivational phrase. It's a way of living. It's a mindset that transforms how you see the world and how you see yourself. The truth is, every great story begins with belief. Every person who's ever done something extraordinary started with nothing but faith in a vision no one else could see. That belief was their foundation, their fuel, and their compass. It guided them through rejection, doubt, and pain. It gave them the strength to keep going when others turned back. Belief is the birthplace of achievement, and it's what keeps the fire burning when the light seems gone. When you look back at your journey, you'll realize it was never about the trophies, the applause, or the recognition. Those are just symbols of something deeper, proof of your persistence, your faith, your hunger. The real reward was the growth, the resilience, the courage you developed along the way. Every setback became a lesson. Every failure became a stepping stone. Every hardship shaped your spirit. And that's what belief does. It transforms you before it transforms your circumstances. It doesn't promise ease, but it promises evolution. It doesn't guarantee quick success, but it guarantees lasting strength. At the start, you might have doubted yourself. Maybe people around you didn't understand your vision. Maybe they laughed at your dreams or told you to be realistic, but you kept going. You believed even when you were scared. You trusted even when you didn't see progress. And slowly that belief became your power. Because belief doesn't need permission. It just needs persistence. The world might not believe in you yet, but that's not your concern. Your only job is to believe in yourself long enough for the world to catch up. You learn that belief isn't loud. It's quiet, steady, and unbreakable. It's in the early mornings when no one's watching. It's in the late nights when you're still working. It's in the moments when your mind says, this is too hard, and you're hard. Answers, just one more try. That's what separates achievers from dreamers. The dreamers wish, the believers work. The dreamers talk, the believers do. The dreamers wait, the believers move. And in the end, the believers win. Not because they never doubted, but because they never gave up. You also learned that belief grows through action. You can't sit still and expect miracles to happen. You had to take that first step, even when the path was uncertain. You had to fall and rise again. You had to risk being wrong, risk being rejected, risk being ridiculed. But every risk brought you closer to your reward. Every failure taught you something success never could. And through it all, your belief matured. It became stronger, sharper, and more grounded. That's why you can now stand tall and say, I made it. Not because the journey was easy, but because you stayed faithful to the vision even when it hurt. As you reach this point, understand that belief is not a one-time thing. It's a lifetime commitment. You have to renew it daily. There will be new goals, new challenges, new fears, but the same principle applies. You must believe before you achieve. You must visualize your success before you can experience it. You must act on faith before you see the outcome. The process never changes. Only the level of your faith does. Every new level of your life will demand a deeper level of belief. You now know that greatness isn't given. It's earned through patience, pain, and perseverance. You've learned that the journey is just as important as the destination because it's the process that prepares you for the promise. If success came too early, you wouldn't be ready for it. If you got everything you wanted without struggle, you wouldn't value it. The fight shapes you. The waiting humbles you. The struggle teaches you. And the belief sustains you. You needed every obstacle to build the strength you have now. Belief also changes your perception of failure. You no longer see it as a dead end, but as a redirection. Every time something didn't go as planned, it was steering you towards something better. Every closed door was protection. Every delay was development. Belief helps you see beyond the moment. It allows you to trust that even the pain has purpose. When you live with that mindset, you stop panicking and start progressing. You stop doubting and start discovering. But real believers understand that vision comes before evidence. You got to see it in your spirit before you can hold it in your hands. That's why the most powerful people in history weren't the ones who had everything figured out. They were the ones who believed despite uncertainty. They walked by faith, not by sight. They moved forward when there was no guarantee. And that's exactly what you must continue to do, because your belief doesn't just create your future, it creates your identity. You become what you believe. Look at your reflection right now, not just in the mirror, but in your life. The person standing there is proof that belief works. You've survived things that once broke you. You've overcome moments that made you question everything. And yet here you are, stronger, wiser, more determined. That's what happens when you refuse to give up on yourself. You've proven that no obstacle is permanent, no failure is final, and no dream is too big when you have the courage to believe. But remember this, belief is not the absence of doubt, it's the decision to move forward despite it. You'll never have all the answers. You'll never feel completely ready. But you can choose to act anyway. You can choose to take that leap, to chase that dream, to speak that truth. You can choose to trust that the universe, God, or whatever you believe in will meet you halfway. Because faith without movement is empty, but faith with action moves mountains. As you carry this message forward, understand that your belief is not just for you, it's for others too. There's someone watching you right now who's gaining strength from your persistence. Someone who's inspired by your fight. Your story might be the spark that ignites another person's faith. So keep believing, not just for your success, but for the light you bring to others. Your courage gives others permission to believe again. And that's how change begins. One believer inspiring another. Life will always test your belief. There will be moments when it feels like nothing's working, when the dream seems too far, when the pressure feels too heavy. But remember this, pressure is proof that you're being prepared for something greater. Diamonds are made under pressure, not comfort. Your belief is the same. It's refined through resistance. So when you feel the weight, don't break, build. When you feel the fear, don't stop, step forward. When you feel lost, don't retreat, refocus. You have everything you need inside you. You just need to keep believing. And when that day comes, the day your dream becomes your reality, take a moment to look back. Remember the nights you cried, the days you struggled, the moments you almost gave up. Remember how far you've come. Let that gratitude fuel you for the next chapter. Because success is not a finish line, but it's a foundation. Once you've achieved one dream, there's another waiting to be born. The cycle continues. Believe, act, achieve, repeat. In the end, belief is what gives life meaning. It's what makes the impossible possible, the unseen visible, and the ordinary extraordinary. It's what connects your humanity to your purpose. Without belief, you're just existing. With belief, you're evolving. You're creating. You're living intentionally. That's the difference between those who merely survive and those who truly thrive. So as you walk out into the world, carry this truth with you. Your belief is your greatest power. Protect it, nurture it, feed it daily. Because when you believe before you achieve, you don't just chase dreams, you create them. You don't just wait for opportunities, you become one. You don't just live life, you lead it. And one day when people ask you how you made it, you'll smile and say, I believe when no one else did. I trusted the process when it didn't make sense. I showed up when I didn't feel ready. I kept the faith. Because that's what winners do. That's what believers do. And that's what you are now, not just a dreamer, but a believer turned achiever. The journey isn't over. It's only just beginning. Believe before you achieve all